Okay, so let me introduce myself. For those of you that don't know who I am, my name is Desarie Anderson, and I'm actually a former hairstylist and salon owner. I owned a hair salon for some years in early 2000s, mid 2000s, and I started doing hair. I went to cosmetology school in the mid 1990s, and I did hair for almost 19 years. And even now, I still dabble in and dabble out, even though I'm currently an accountant. So I went from doing hair behind the chairs, owning a hair salon, to becoming an accountant. Now, because I am very familiar with the beauty industry, I decided that I was going to become an accountant to beauty professionals, because I pretty much know the ins and the outs of our industry. Not only was I a hairstylist, I was a salon owner. I worked at several salons. I worked at corporate salons. I worked at booth rental salons. I rented a salon suite. I worked at commission salons. So I know I know the operating side behind our business. And now as an accountant, I now understand the accounting and the tax side of our business. So I'm very familiar with the things that ail our industry. I'm also very familiar and able to help our industry because I've pretty much been where you are now. So that's a bit about me. So now what I do is I help salon owners and hairstylists set up their bookkeeping systems. And I help them set up their bookkeeping systems because I work with people who want to track their income and expenses. And they want to see how profitable they are, based upon their marketing and also based upon their client retention. Because when you're putting money out to market your business, and even if you're not putting money out to market your business, let's assume that you're doing a lot of social media posts. Now that takes time as well. People want to know, how profitable is it? Am I actually doing what I should be doing, or do I need to change my strategy when it comes to my social media marketing, or when it comes to marketing in general? Okay. Another thing is, they want to track client retention. Okay. So you want to know how your dollars and cents are converting as it relates to your marketing and as it relates to client retention. So that's what I help salons and hairstylists with. So I help them set up their bookkeeping systems. And in addition to that, they also want to always be able to know how much money they're making. And that's because oftentimes you have stylists, people in the beauty industry, who are trying to buy a house, or they have children who are on their way to college and they're trying to get student loans, trying to get FAFSA for their children. And in order for you to be able to get a loan, in order for you to be able to get FAFSA for your kids, in order for you to be able to purchase a house, you have got to know how much money you are making, okay? They want to see your tax return. And before you can prepare a tax return, you have to know how much money you're making. In order to know how much money you're making, you have to have a bookkeeping system. So that's pretty much what I do. So on today's broadcast, I'm going to be talking about or discussing 3 metrics that salon owners can use to increase profits and to grow their business. Now, as I said earlier, in order for you to do anything when it comes to your business, whether it's increasing profits, growing your business, you have got to know how much money you're bringing in. You have to track your income and your expenses. Okay, that's first and foremost. Now, I know a lot of you have heard about cash flow. You've heard the term cash flow, okay? That is the number one thing in any business. It's like the heartbeat of any business. If you don't have cash flow, then you're not going to make it. No matter how much money you're bringing in, you could be bringing in a lot of money. Your profit and loss statements might tell you that you're making money, okay, which you might be. You may be in the positive. But if you don't have cash flow, your business can still fail, okay? So the matrix that I'm going to be talking about today, the 3 matrix that I'll be talking about today, are all related to cash flow. So they're going to help you increase the cash flow of your salon. And if I have time, I'm also going to discuss a little bit about setting up your business and the type of business entity that you should or should not be using as a salon owner, or even as a booth renter or a salon suite owner. Because I get that question a lot. People always ask me, okay, Desiree, I have a business. Either they're booth renting, or they have a salon suite, or they actually have a salon that has employees. One of the things that they are sometimes confused about and don't really understand is what type of business entity should they be. So if I have time, I'll talk about that today, okay? So before I go ahead and continue on with the 3 matrix, are there any questions? I'm going to try to occasionally look and see if there are any questions, because I'm really good at not doing that. Okay, so I don't see any questions in the chat. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just keep going. Okay, so number one of the most important metrics when it comes to your salon is client retention. That's tracking client retention, because as you know, without clients, right, what's going to happen? We're not going to make it. We have to have clients in order to make money. So in order for you to know and to understand whether or not you are retaining clients, because it is a lot easier for you to market to and also to upsell to current clients, or to make money from your current clients, than it is for you to try to get a new client. So it costs way more to try to get a new client into the salon than it does maintaining your current clients. And I know sometimes clients, they get on our nerves. I understand that. And we want to just cut them off, or we want to fire them. But remember that those clients are the ones that make it happen for you. So you have to try to retain your clients to the best of your ability. Now, in order for you, someone said, will this slide be saved? Yes, it will be. Yeah, it's going to be saved. Okay, so in order for you to be able to track, client retention, you have to have some type of salon management system that you are using to do that, okay? Whether it be Vagaro. Now, me personally, I work with Vagaro, and I also work with Square. Those are the main salon client management systems that I work with, and I help my clients set them up. And most of the bookkeeping systems that I use, really the one bookkeeping system that I use is QuickBooks Online. So usually I help my clients integrate Vagaro and QuickBooks Online, and that way they're able to pull certain reports that are going to help them monitor the profitability of their business. So in order for you to be able to determine your client retention rate, you have to have a management system that you are using to collect client data. So even if you're using, you can use StyleSeat, you can use Vagaro, as I said, you can use Square. So you can use anything that will help you determine. In other words, you want something that's going to register. Every time a client comes to the salon, you want to be able to register that client. So I find that the best way to do this is to somehow make it automated. So you don't want to just have a client come in, and when the client comes in, you check them, or you do want to check them in, but sometimes we forget. If you're busy, you might forget. If there's no one at the front desk, you might forget. So it's always best to have them book their appointments online using a booking system. That way you know that you are capturing. Hi Susan, how are you? Okay, so that way you know you're capturing all of the clients that came into the salon that day, that week, and that month. Now, with that data, you're going to be able to determine your client retention rate. Now, I'm going to just mention how you can actually do that, how to calculate your client retention rate. Now, I'm going to be really quick about this because I don't want to scare you off. I don't want to bore you. But basically, what you want to do in order for you to check, to determine your client retention rate is, well, first of all, let's assume that you have a system that you use to collect all of the clients or all the data for your clients. You may want to import that information into Excel, because it's going to be a lot easier to do your calculations that way. You can import it into Excel. Okay, so the way that you're going to determine that is you want to, okay, so EC, which is the total number of customers at the end of the time period. So you want to, first of all, pick a time period. If you want to determine what your client retention rate is for a week, that's considered a time period. If you want to determine your client retention for a month, that's considered a time period. If you want to do it for the quarter, that's considered a time period, or you can do it for every 6 months, or you can do it for the year. But you always want to compare it to another period. So let's say, for example, you decide that you want to determine your client retention rate every 3 months, which means that when you compare those first 3 months, you wanted to compare it to another 3 months. You don't want to compare a 3-month time period to, let's say, a 6-month time period. That's not giving you apples to apples. So you either want to compare it to an equivalent time period within the year or an equivalent time period in the prior year. Now, you can go with a prior year if you're trying to determine your client retention rate in the summer of, say, 2018, and you also want to compare it to the summer of 2019. But in my opinion, when working with my clients, what we try to do is we try to determine the retention rate every 3 months, usually every quarter. And we compare it from quarter to quarter to quarter. So that way clients can, that way the salon owner or even a stylist can see whether or not they are retaining clients, and they're able to adjust if they're not. Because if you wait too long, let's say you do the client retention, determine your client retention rate every 6 months, that's so far apart. So a whole 6 months has gone by before you've determined that your clients are not coming back. Okay, so you want to know if your clients are coming back sooner than later, so you can do whatever you need to do to try to get them to come back. Okay, so in order to determine that, you want to take the customers at the end of the period, okay, and you're going to subtract that from the new customers that came in during that time frame. Okay, and then once you get that total number, you need to divide that number by the total number of customers at the start of the period. Now, I'm just telling you what to do, but trust me, if you're interested in doing something like this, okay, you want to either contact your accountant, or you can contact me and I can send you the formula if you're interested. You can just either email me, or you can go to my my IG, which is @Desarie Anderson, and I'll email you the formula and to let you know how you can actually do the calculations. But the one thing you do have to have, as I mentioned earlier, is you do have to have a system that's tracking your customers. Once you have that, you're able to then determine your client retention rates. Now, even in my business as an accountant, okay, I make 80% of my income from 20% of my clients that have been my customers for a while. I make the other 20% comes from new customers. So my business exists and survives based on client retention. And as a hairstylist, even so, that was even more so, because, you know, first of all, it was easier to deal with customers that you've been working with for years, because you know what they want. It's less time. When they come into the salon, it's easier for you to book out time when you know exactly, or you have an idea of exactly what your client is getting, or even not even what they're getting. You understand their hair, okay? You know them. So when they come in, you have an idea of how long it's going to take, and that's it. When it's a new customer, you don't really know. You've never really dealt with a customer before, so you don't really know what to expect. So it's going to take more time. So yeah, as a hairstylist, for me, it was really, really important for me to retain clientele, because that is really what made me as successful as I was when I was a hairstylist. It was from repeat customers, and those repeat customers always referred new clients to me. Okay, it got to a point as a hairstylist where I was no longer I didn't take walk-ins. I barely took call-ins. Most of my clients were repeat customers, or referrals from my repeat customers. Okay, so client retention rate, tracking your client retention rate is very important. You need to do that. That way, if you're noticing that clients are coming back, you can readjust and do whatever you have to do to get them back in the door. Okay, so the second metrics that we're going to be talking about is one that is extremely challenging. Me as a hair salon owner back in the day, this was one of my biggest challenges, and that was employee retention. It was difficult. And it's not necessarily because you, the salon owner, is difficult to work with. That's not necessarily the case. It's just that our industry is such that we as stylists, and I say we, even though I'm not really a stylist anymore. Like I said, I do hair on the side using those apps. If you guys have heard of Be Glammed or Priv or the Glam app, every now and then I work with those apps because I can work when I want, how I want. And I don't have to build a clientele. If they call me, if I'm available, I go to the hotel, I go to the client's house, do their hair. End of story, we cut ties. No, there is no clientele building. So that's what I do right now because I do enjoy doing hair. It's relaxing for me. So therefore, I've decided to do it that way. But that being said, when I was a stylist or salon owner, one of the most challenging things for me to do was to actually retain employees. And it wasn't because, as I said, it's not about the salon owner being difficult to work with. It's just that as stylists, there's so many places that we can go to work. Now, whether or not those places, when you finally get there, because you know how sometimes you think the grass is greener on the other side. Sometimes when you get there, it may not be a good fit. But we are quick, or stylists are quick to say, oh, I don't like it here, I'm going somewhere else. Or if they get mad over something minor, or even major, of course, if it's something major, yeah, they're going to want to leave. But even something really minor, they're ready to leave. Or if they feel like there's another opportunity somewhere else, they're ready to leave. But for the most part, stylists want to start their own business. If they've been working in a salon for a while, they may be a commission stylist and they decide, okay, I think I would like to go off on my own. I no longer want to give the salon owner half of my money. So then they go off to try to find a place to work as a booth renter. So there are several reasons why we tend to lose employees. But one of the now, if you have a salon that is commission based, okay, and employee based, then losing clientele, or rather losing stylists, can really affect your bottom line, because a lot of times customers get really comfortable with their stylists. Okay, they are tied to their stylists. They feel as if they're the only ones that can do their hair. They're the only ones that understand their hair. So when you start losing stylists, usually you lose customers, which affects your bottom line. So now I can't tell you that I have advice for you on how to retain employees. However, you do want to track your employee retention rates, because if you're noticing that you are having high turnover, okay, you will also notice that your bottom line, your net income, is being adversely affected by that. Now, how do you track, or rather, how do you track employee retention? Well, that's pretty simple. It's pretty much, and I'm going to read because I don't remember. I tell people as I get older, I start forgetting stuff. But anyway, to track employee retention, you are going to have to know, first of all, what your total employees are at the beginning of a period. So let's assume that in Q4, you had 25 employees, okay? So you know that in that particular period, you had 25 employees. Now, you want to know how many employees left during that same quarter. Let's assume that it's 5 employees that left during that same quarter. That then means that you want to calculate what the retention rate is. So you go 25, which is the number of employees at the beginning of the quarter. Then you want to subtract 5, which is the number of employees that you lost within that quarter. And then you want to divide the answer, which is 20, by 25. Okay, so you want to divide 20, which is the number of employees left in fourth quarter, by 25, the number of employees that you had, and that's going to tell you what your employee retention rate is. So in this case, it's 80%, as in 80%. Now you want to track that as often as you, excuse me, as often as you feel necessary, whether it's every quarter, every year, every 6 months, and you want to compare it. You want to see, okay, am I churning out employees? And then if you do, and if you're really good at tracking the data of your salon, then you want to take that exact same quarter and you want to look at your net income for that quarter, okay? And then you want to compare the net income for that quarter and your employee retention rate with another quarter, and you want to see how your net income is being affected by the loss of employees. Now, this particular retention rate is not going to refer to individuals who are booth renters, or if you have a salon suite, or if you're at a salon and you work by yourself, okay? Normally, this employee retention rate is something that I use with my larger salons who have several employees. Okay, and the third metrics is the average revenue per client. Now, this particular metric is pretty easy to calculate. You just basically take your revenue, whatever that is, okay, and you divide it by the total active clientele base that you have. So if you have, let's say you look at your clientele base, you look at your management system, your bookkeeping management system, and you want to separate the active clients from the inactive clients. You don't want to use the inactive clients. That's going to skew the actual number. So you want to look at your current active clients. Then for a particular period, whatever that period is, once again, it could be a quarter, it could be a year, whatever you want, whatever you choose. Then you want to look at the revenue that you brought in for that period. And you want to divide the revenue by your clientele base. And that's going to tell you what the average revenue per client is. Now, this particular metrics can be tracked by anyone, whether it's a hair salon, whether it is a booth renter, a mobile stylist, or it doesn't matter how you work, you can track this matrix. And it's important that you do track it, okay? Because you want to know how much am I making off of each. Not really each, because you're really doing an average. You want to know what your average revenue per client is. Now, once you understand what that is, okay, a couple of things you need. Let's assume that it's low and you want to increase whatever your average revenue per client is. There are a couple of things that you can do. One thing is you can upsell, okay? So upselling allows you to grow your business without the need of acquiring more clients. Yes, we want more clients, but sometimes it's difficult to gain additional clients, okay? So what you want to do is you want to try to upsell to your current clients. Now, when I say upsell, I'm not saying sell them what they don't need. Don't do that, because our clients trust us, okay? They trust us. They trust our judgment. And the last thing you want to do is to destroy that trust by just trying to sell your clients something that they don't need. That being said, I know me, when I was a hairstylist, my clients always needed something. They always wanted to use what I used on them. Because, and that being said, now you know a stylist that I can use a particular shampoo, conditioner on my clients. I can give them a particular treatment, then I'll do their hair using my brand of flat iron and my blow dryer, and they can leave the salon with their hair swinging, looking gorgeous. Now, you already know that your client is not going to be able to repeat, is not going to be able to duplicate that look at home. But even though they can't duplicate it, they still want to use what you use, because they think that if they use what you use, that they can actually duplicate what you just did. Well, not necessarily. And I tell my clients all the time that, you know, keep in mind that your hair will not look, when you do it, it won't look the same as when I do it, because when I do my hair, it never looks how it does when somebody else does it. But the products that I'm using for you are, you know, the products are good. They're good products, okay? And they are in between time when you're not at the salon. It's a good idea to use what your stylists use. That way you're not working against your stylist, right? So because of that, you don't ever have to sell your clients something that they don't need, okay? You don't ever have to do that. You just sell them what you use, and that's it. But you have to, you know, talk to your client. You have to ask them questions. What are you using at your, what do you use at home? When you shampoo your own hair at home, what are you using? Or let's assume they don't shampoo their hair. What are you using to maintain your hair, to maintain your style? Okay, you sell them what you use. Okay, that's an upsell. So you want to make sure that you, and for those clients who decide that they prefer to flat iron or shampoo their own hair at home and flat iron their own hair, you also want to sell them a flat iron, because you'd rather sell them what you know, something that is more on a professional level, not necessarily as professional as what we would use, but something maybe in the same family but a lower grade. For example, with gosh, what is it? I forgot the name, but with some of the flat irons that we use, they have salon grade and they also have home grade, and you can sell them those irons. So these are the kind of things that you want to think about. Now, for natural hairstylists, because after all, I am speaking to natural hairstylists, and a lot of times with a natural hairstylist, they don't really want to use heat. They're not really doing the whole heat thing. They are doing more protective styles. When you're doing more protective styles, it is even more important that you make sure you sell your clients products that is going to keep their hair moisturized underneath all of, whether you're braiding it, whether they have dreadlocks. Because when your hair is in its natural state, usually when our hair is in its natural state, it tends to be drier, okay? More so than when you silk it out. So therefore, you want to make sure that you're selling your clients products. So it is very easy to upsell when it comes to working with natural hair clients as well. So that is one way to make sure that your salon or your profits are either staying where you want them to stay or they're increasing. Okay, you want to upsell to your clients. Like I said, don't sell them what they don't need. Okay. Now, another thing that you want to take into consideration when you are, when you are selling your clients, whether it would be shampoos, conditioners, or hair treatments or whatever, you want to pay really close attention to your inventory. You want to analyze your inventory. What are your best sellers? What lines sell the best? Okay. And then also, what are the margins of those products? Meaning, okay, let's say that I sell 2 products. I sell 2 different types of conditioners. One conditioner I sell, or let's say I sell them both for $20 a piece. So I sell both conditioners for $20. One conditioner costs me $5, but I sell it for $20. Another conditioner costs me $10, but I sell it for $20. That means that the margin that I'm receiving from the conditioner that I sell for $20 but buy for $5, I'm receiving a higher margin with that particular product than I am with the other one. So you want to keep an eye on your inventory, what's selling the best and what the margin is. Because when you determine what sells best, you are able to then, if you want to market a particular product, if you want to have specials, let's say you come in and we're going to give you a basket of products, okay, and you actually create some type of, let's say you're slow, you have a slow period, and you're trying to get clients to come in, okay, so you have a special. Well, you now know what your best products are, what the best sellers are, right? So within that special, you can create a package that includes those products that tend to be best sellers because you know what your clients like. And not only that, if you know what your margin is, you know that, okay, if you want to make, the more money you want to make, okay, you want a higher margin. So if you know these two things, then you know what to sell, what to push. Now, when I say push, I'm not saying push something on someone that they don't need, something on someone, or rather, don't push something on someone that, okay, let me back up. I'm not saying don't push something on someone that they don't need or that they cannot use. I'm just saying that you have certain products that are all good products. You may sell them for the same thing, but one particular product may have a better margin. So that may be the one you decide to push, okay? So in order for you to know how to strategically upsell products, okay? In order for you to strategically upsell products, you have to understand these things. You have to understand margin. You have to also understand your best sellers. Once you know that, then you're able to make certain decisions within your business that's going to help your business to grow, okay? Now, I always say the easiest way to raise your average revenue per client, as I said, is to place higher margin products where your clients can see them. So this is all strategy. So if you have a product that is that's a higher margin, okay, versus something that's a lower margin, you want to always make sure that your clients can see that product, that it's in their space, whether it be when they check out at the register, or it could be when you're doing their hair. Now, for natural hairstylists, lots of times you have clients sitting in your chair for quite a while. Either they're getting braids, they're getting twists, they're getting something. So, they're in your chair for a while, you guys are talking. Always make sure you have the products right in front of them on your station. The products that you are using and the products that you are selling for retail purposes. Now, you may have a retail shelf, that's fine, but you always want to make sure that those products are also on your station and that you're using them. Now, this is something that I won't say I learned it, but something that when I was working for Great Clips a long time ago, this is something they made us do. They always told us to use the product, whatever you're using on your client, have it on the station if it's something that you retail and you want them to purchase it. So you use it on them, because as they're sitting there, they're going to pick up the bottle, they're going to look at it, they're going to read it, and that's a conversation starter. So now you can start talking about it, and by the time you're done with their hair, they have a beautiful hairstyle and a really pretty bag with products, and hey, what more can you ask for? So, and I'm saying all this to say, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to help you increase your profits, okay? I'm not trying to coach you into what you need to do as it relates to selling products to your clients or strategies of selling products to your clients. No, I'm not necessarily trying to help you strategize to do that. My end game is to try to help you increase your salon profits, to increase your net profits. And sometimes it does require me to help you to strategize strategize to do that, okay? So let's see what else. So before I go into another topic, are there any questions? Okay, let me scroll down to see if anybody asks any questions. Let's see, what was the name of that app you said you use to service clients you'd like to? The app side. I'm not quite sure what you're asking me, but I think, and this is Authentic Kinks by Nisha. I think what you're asking me is the apps that I said that I work, or rather the company that I work with who has an app. for hairstylists? I think that's what you're asking me. If that's what you're asking me, the answer to that question is there are three companies that I work with. And what they do is called hairstyling on demand, I guess. What they do is they basically have clients contact them via the app. Clients set up an appointment, and it goes out to all of the stylists who are part of the company, and whoever answers first gets the client. One is called Be Glammed, one is called Priv, and one is called the Glam app. Now, Priv, which is Priv, recently acquired Be Glammed. So Be Glammed is no longer in existence. They were swallowed up by Priv. And then the Glam app. Those are the two that, or rather, well, two now. Those are the two that I work with. And then there's another one in Atlanta called Colors. So, but that one is mainly in Atlanta. Whereas with Priv and Be Glammed, they are in different parts of the United States. Okay, so I think that's what you were asking me. Let me see if there are any other questions. Let's see. Okay, so okay, I'm not sure what I just did. There are no questions, so I'm assuming that, okay, all right, I don't know what I'm doing here. Okay, so I'm gonna now talk about something that, okay, someone says, can you give your email again? Okay, so my Instagram handle is @Desarie Anderson. So that's my name, @Desarie Anderson. My email address is Desarie@AndersonAccounting3.com. And I guess I could type it in. I'm afraid if I type it in, I'm going to do something and screw it up and wind up knocking. Oh, shoot. Okay, what did I just do? Wind up knocking myself off. So I'm going to not attempt to type anything in the box so I don't knock myself off. Let's see. Okay. Can you put, okay, someone asked a question, where are you from? Oh, I'm from London, England. I've been in America for years, actually. I think I moved to America in 1986. So I've been here for a very long time, but that's where I'm from. That's the accent, from England. And then someone says, can you put them? Okay, so I don't know what you're asking me when you say, can you put them? Can you, and that is Mick, I think it's Mickey Davis Hair Studio. If you could, oh God, what am I doing? If you could type in a complete sentence, I know exactly what it is you're asking me, I'll answer you. Okay, so since there are no questions about the free matrix that salon owners can use to increase their profits and grow their business, I'm going to briefly talk about, I have 20 minutes, I'm going to briefly talk about setting up your business and the type of business structure that you should, oh, before I talk about that, let me just say that during the National Hair Industry Convention, which is November 3rd, 2nd and 3rd in Atlanta, I will be teaching a class, and my class basically is going to be talking about how to keep up with your salon's bookkeeping and your salon's tax deductions. That's what I'll be talking about. Because one thing that I have noticed when it comes to my salons, when it comes to my stylists, when it comes to my booth renters, my salon suite owners, you guys miss out on so many deductions. And you missed out on so many deductions because you are not tracking your income and your expenses. And it's criminal how much you miss out when it comes to deductions. And, you know, none of us want to pay taxes, even though we are all required to pay, but we want to pay as little as we possibly can, okay? So in order for you to achieve that, you have to track your income and expenses. And when I say track it, I don't mean at the end of the year, you hand me your 12-month bank statements and say, well, here you go, figure it out. Yeah, I can do it that way. And I do it that way for quite a few people because they're not tracking it during the week. But what winds up happening is There's so many things on your bank statement that you don't remember what half of them are. And if you don't know what they are, you cannot take the deduction, because if you ever get audited, the IRS wants to know exactly what it is, and they want to see a receipt. Okay, so you really do have to maintain your books. Now, I said it because, what was it? I was doing my own bookkeeping last month, and as a matter of fact, now I was doing it 2 weeks ago. And I always attach a receipt to every single transaction in QuickBooks Online. Now, for some reason, this particular receipt, I totally forgot. I don't know what happened, but I did not attach a receipt to it. And literally, I purchased that item about 2 weeks ago, and I couldn't remember what it was. I could not remember what it was. So I put it to the side and said, okay, I'll figure it out. Now, imagine I can't remember something that I bought 2 weeks ago. When you hand me bank statements for 12 months and you say, okay, here are my bank statements. Can you now please do my taxes? You're not going to remember half the stuff. You're losing out on deductions, tons of it. So what you're doing is now you're paying the IRS, you're paying the state way more in taxes than you ordinarily should. So that's why it's so important to make sure that you are keeping up with your salon bookkeeping. Okay, so this particular class is going to talk about the different ways that you can record your income and expenses, or track your income and expenses. And it also talks about salon deductions, the kinds of things that you as salon owners and salon stylists, booth renters, mobile stylists, the types of deductions that you can take for tax purposes. Okay, now, even though I work exclusively with QuickBooks Online when it comes to my bookkeeping, I also show you how to use an Excel spreadsheet. Because I actually created an Excel spreadsheet that you can use to track your income and your expenses. Now, the thing about this Excel spreadsheet is it also helps you to determine your estimated taxes. So I created it in such a way that allows you to track your income and your expenses and to calculate your estimated taxes. And the reason why I chose to do this is because this is the biggest issue that I'm finding with our industry, is you are not paying your estimated taxes. And you can't, quite frankly, you can't pay them if you don't know how much money you made. So in order for you to pay them, you have to track your income and expenses so you can determine exactly how much money you made. So I created a spreadsheet for people who are just not ready to jump into purchasing an accounting system. Okay, so I'm going to talk about that during the National Industry Convention, and then I'm going to also, like I said, give you tips on tax deductions. I'm going to talk about QuickBooks Self-Employed, which is a little bit different from QuickBooks Online. Now, they are both online. They are both online systems. However, they are different. So you have QuickBooks Online, which has 4 different levels, and then you have QuickBooks Self-Employed. So QuickBooks Self-Employed is great for booth renters, it's great for mobile stylists, it's great for salon suite owners, it's great for anybody who has a very simple bookkeeping needs. And there's so many things that you can achieve with QuickBooks Self-Employed. So we're going to talk about that as well during the convention. Okay, so hopefully I'll see you guys there. And once again, don't forget, the convention is in Atlanta, November 2nd and November 3rd. And it's going to be downtown Atlanta. Last year we had it by the airport, which was great. It was a great hotel. This year we're going to have it downtown Atlanta. So you're going to be able to, get a feel. For those of you that don't live in Atlanta, you'll get a feel. Now, let me just say this. When you come to Atlanta and you like it, please don't try to move here, because we're full. Atlanta is completely full. We're not taking on any more people. The traffic is absolutely horrible. So therefore, we're trying to lock it down. That way, we don't suffer even more when it comes to traffic in Atlanta. Now, that being said, I think I have about 10 more minutes. So I want to talk about setting up your business and the type of business structure you should consider. But before I do that, let me look and see if there are any questions. Let's see. Can you put them? Okay, my apologies. Can you list the apps for stylists in demand. Okay, so I'm going to list them again. Well, there are only two now. One is Priv, P-R-I-V, that's Priv. They bought Be Glammed, so Be Glammed no longer exists. And then there's one that's called the Glam app. That's the Glam app. And then if you live in Atlanta, there's one that's also called Colors. And I think they're only here in Atlanta, if I'm not mistaken, okay? Okay, one says, oh shoot, what am I doing? I keep messing up. Okay, another question was, how can you do hair? Okay, how can you do hair with the hair? How can you do hair with the box braids? Okay, I'm not sure what you're asking. If you can sort of clarify that, maybe I can answer you. And then someone says, what are considered deductions? What are considered deductions? Okay, I'll answer that in a second. Someone said, so QuickBooks is good. Okay, so yes, QuickBooks, I like QuickBooks, and QuickBooks has been around for a very, very long time. So they're a solid company and it's very intuitive. So yes, I do like QuickBooks. I used to use QuickBooks Desktop before QuickBooks Online became a thing. But now I use QuickBooks Online because you can use it. You can actually do your bookkeeping on your phone. You can take pictures of receipts. So for those of you that are not good with receipts, the minute you buy something, you can take your phone and you can click on the app and you can take a picture of the receipts, and it automatically uploads into QuickBooks Online, and then you can go ahead and categorize it. So no more putting receipts in shoe boxes, no more saying, oh my God, I can't find my receipts. Or, because I know with me, when I get a receipt, I'll put it in my bag and I'll say, okay, I'm going to go ahead. When I get back to the house, or to the office, I'm going to go ahead and, record it. And either I forget or something happens. So what I do is the minute I buy something, immediately, as soon as the shopkeeper or the attendant gives me the receipt, I immediately take a picture of it and I can just chuck the receipt away and I'm good to go. So yeah, I really like QuickBooks Online. Okay, someone says, can I get a shout out, please? Who wants a shout out? That pretty girl from, the pretty girl from Atlanta. That pretty girl from the ATL. Hi, that pretty girl from the ATL. How are you? And then someone, look, I feel like an old lady. Like I can't read with my glasses on, so I have to do this. It says, I have the QuickBooks for self-employed. Is that okay? Yes. If you are a booth renter, if you are a salon suite owner, if you are a mobile stylist, you can use QuickBooks Self-Employed if you have very simple transactions. The minute you start, and when I say simple, you really have to sit down with an accountant. What I do with my clients is I say, okay, tell me what type of transactions you have. So we talk about it. I want to know what their goals are. I ask them questions like, how many sources of income do you have? Because nowadays, we don't just do hair, okay? We have other things we do. You may be a hairstylist. You may also be an educator. You may also, you may do several things that are related to hair, but not necessarily doing hair behind a chair. So I tell my clients, if you have more than one source of income, then you want to track every source, okay? You don't want to mash it together. Because if you mash it together, you don't know how each source is doing. So let's say, for example, I do hair and I also sell, or let's say I also have online courses that I sell. I want to know how each business does as a standalone, because that's the only way I can determine whether or not I need to, what I need to do if that business is not doing that well, or if it is doing great. Like if I'm having a loss, like if you mash it together, let's assume that your educational side of your business isn't doing well, and you've been having losses for quite a while. You don't know, you can't tell, because you've mashed it all together. You don't know how each individual business is doing. You want to know how each one is doing so you can make intelligent decisions for each business. What do you need to do to make it grow? So if you're someone that has more than one source of income, then QuickBooks Self-Employed would not be a good option for you. You want to then shift to one of the other QuickBooks, one of the other QuickBooks products, and it could be one of the 4 that is under QuickBooks Online. And which one you pick amongst the 4 is going to depend completely on what your needs are, because each one fits a different individual depending upon your needs. Okay, so if you have self-employed, it may be a good fit for you, and it may not. It just depends. Okay, all right. So I only have about 8 more minutes. Okay, I don't know what happened. I don't know if I hit something or what, but I'm back. I have about 7 more minutes. So really quickly, if there are no other questions. Oh, someone says, I love your accent. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. I always say I don't have an accent, but when I go to London, people say, oh, you're from America. So when I go to London, it sounds to them as if I have an American accent. Because when you go there, if you hear my sisters speak and my brother, they have really, really strong accents. My accent is not that strong, even though you may think it is, because I sound different from people that you speak with. When I go to London, they think I'm an American. So So let me answer the question about deductions. So it looks like I may not get a chance to talk about setting up your business entity because I don't have much time. But okay, when it comes to deductions, what can you take? Okay, supplies. If you drive a lot, if you're a mobile stylist, you can also deduct mileage. Even as a stylist driving from the salon to the beauty supply store, you can take that mileage as well. One thing you can't do, because people always ask me this question, whether or not they can deduct the miles that they drive when they drive from their home to the salon. And the answer is no. You cannot deduct commuting miles. Commuting miles means driving from home to your salon or from your salon home. Those are considered commuting miles. You can't take that. You can't deduct that. You can also deduct, as a matter of fact, whoever asked me that question, if you would like to send me a message, I will send you a little booklet. I have a booklet of 11 tax deductions that you can take as a hairstylist. I'll send you a copy of that, okay, to give you an idea. And anybody who's interested, if you want to contact me, just leave me a message in my DM and with your email address, and I'll go ahead and send you a copy of that. Okay. Now, one question that I get asked from booth renters. Oh, by the way, if you're a booth renter, you can actually take a home office deduction as a booth renter. And I think that's something that is in that little booklet that I was telling you about. So if you get that booklet, you can read up on that and see under what circumstances that you can take the home office deduction if you are a booth renter. Now, of course, if you work out of your home as a hairstylist, you can also take the home office deduction. Okay, there's a way to do it. So you can't just go and deduct your entire rent. No, it doesn't work that way. There is a way that it's done. Okay, and normally your CPA will help you with that at the end of the year. And those expenses do not go on your financial statements. So if you are tracking your income and your expenses, do not include home office expenses. Don't include stuff that you pay like utilities and anything that you pay for your home. Don't include that on your financial statement. At the end of the year, your accountant is going to get from you the information that he or she needs to calculate what your home office deduction is, okay? So don't worry about keeping track of that. We'll deal with that at the end of the year. What was I going to say? I was going to say, so for my booth renters who always ask me the question, should I form an LLC for my business? And the answer, I have about 4 minutes to go. The answer is yes, you should. And no matter, okay, so even if you are a booth renter and you are working in someone's salon, Or if you work from home, okay, you want to always set up, you want to set up an LLC for your business, because you want to make sure, and there are a couple of reasons why you need to do that, and I just don't really have the time to get into why you should, but just know that it's a good idea. One of the main reasons is for that protection that you get. Now, also, I want you to know that if you set up a business, okay, and you set up your business as an LLC, yes, you are afforded protection. However, that protection is only afforded to you if you follow certain requirements, okay? If you don't follow certain requirements, then that is no longer afforded to you. And I can honestly tell you, out of 100% of the people that I work with, when they come to me, 99.9% of them are not following proper protocol to be an LLC. So therefore, if anything should ever happen and they get sued, then their personal assets can now be a part of the lawsuit because of the fact that they're not following proper protocol. But I always advise my clients to speak with an attorney. An attorney is going to tell you how you need to, or the things that, even if you're an LLC, they'll tell you how you can also, how your personal assets can be affected if you ever get sued, even though you are still an LLC. So you want to definitely make sure you want to speak with an attorney. Don't assume because you're an LLC that that your personal assets are automatically protected, because really they are not. I try to help beauty industry professionals transform their financial life. And not just transforming their financial life from a business perspective, but also transforming their financial life from a personal perspective. Because at the end of the day, you know, what we do for a living is what helps us elevate our personal lives, right? It helps us to save for retirement, it helps us to purchase vehicles, it helps us to purchase homes, it just helps us to go on vacation. Everything that we do in our business lives helps better our personal lives.